Welcome to 86, where the nights run long and the stories hit quick. From the back of the house to the front row mix, actually kind of foreshadow. We talk real life hospitality unfiltered. This is 86, baby. What's going on? How's everybody feeling? How everybody doing on this wonderful Wednesday? How's everybody doing on this wonderful Wednesday? It's your boy Chef Vern Jr. And we back with another 86 episode. And in today's, before we start there, let's do it right. If you listen to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to, make sure you follow. Make sure you hit that bell, hit that star so you notified when new episodes drop every single week. You watch this on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, subscribe, like, comment, like. In any order, make sure you show love. Now, back to the meat and potatoes of it. Today's episode, we talking about front of house versus back of house. This is a debate that's been going on since the centuries. Whenever cooking in restaurants and environments of people and, we trading money for service started happening, which I don't have the answer to that. Front of the house versus back of the house has always been a war between two positions in the establishment that are servicing guests in their own way. And I don't know why it's beef. It's like, I get it. I understand the dynamics on each side, but I don't know why it's beef. Front of the house. You're guest facing. You handle the guests, you serve the guests, you make the guests feel welcome. You make them feel family. You make sure that you try and get your tips, you try and get your money. That's an extra incentive. But that's how you get that's how you get paid. That's how you make income. But that's your responsibility and your role. Back of the house, I'm a proud back of the house member. We cook the food, we execute the food, we prep the food, make sure it's right, make sure it tastes good, make sure we know how to I said it already. Make sure that everybody's trained on what to do on our stations, make sure we're doing it in a timely manner, getting the food out quickly so guests can enjoy it without waiting too long. It all plays a part. Like, there shouldn't be any beef. I'm going to speak on back of the house side first, because I have a lot more experience back of the house, obviously. Back of the house generally has always felt like front of the house made a lot more money than. Like, when you hear servers, bartenders, at the end of a Friday night, rave about, I got a $400 tip, or I made $300 tips tonight, or I only made $200 in tips tonight. I'm used to $700 nights. Like, when you hear stuff like that, you like, damn. And I'm back here slaving, making fillets rare, medium rare, making trout, making sure everything is perfect. And I'm getting the same hourly wage. And some people feel like, they don't want to hear that kind of stuff, because it's kind of like, some people take it as like boasting or you bragging about it, but that's not really the case majority of the time. Sometimes people can be assholes, but that's not really the case majority of the time. But back in the house, has always thought that front of the house made a lot more money. And don't get me wrong, there's some instances front of the house does make a lot more money than back of the house, especially those busier nights, especially if you're a consistent, good working server or waitress or waiter or bartender. You're always going to have consistent tips and income coming in, because you know how to do your job well, and you know how to make people feel like they matter, and you know how to treat people with respect. But that's not the case every day. You might make $700 on Friday, but from Saturday to Thursday, you only made $40. So it kind of 740 divided by 7. We can all do the math. It's not a lot of money, especially on a daily basis. Like, you're getting paid. Like, now you're working an 8-hour shift back at the house, and I'm making, let's say, people nowadays make upwards of $20, $22, $25 an hour just to be a line cook, which is still super crazy. Because when I was coming up as a line cook, $13, $14, $11. If you was making $15 an hour, you was like the shift lead or supervisor. So it's crazy how times have changed, but that's another topic, another day. So You do the math on that. At $20 an hour, 8 hours, I came through and I made $160, before tax. Did I make that 20? Yep, $160. I had to do quick math real quick. So it's like you get consistent guaranteed money, especially when you work on the server. It's kind of on a variable basis. Now I work some places where front of the house does tip out back of the house, but it's kind of at a lower percentage, and it's also can be seniority based, like depending on how long you've been there, on like pay wage, things like that, where back of the house can be tipped out. But you got to think about it. Back of the house mates guaranteed hourly money. Front of the house is not like that. Front of the house, you experience a lot of like cut, especially if it's slow. Like and being in management when it comes to labor, in the sense there's a lot more flexibility in the front of the house than the back of the house. Because back of the house, you can't cut your grill cook because it's slow. You think, oh yeah, somebody else can do it. Because if it get busy, then it's like, oh, we actually need that person. Like, hey, we should cut them. Front of the house, if you got 5 servers and let's say 50 tables, everybody got 3 tables, and you see it's not too busy, hey, we can send one person home. In between these 4 people, they can all pick up an extra table, yeah, whatever, extra 2 tables, whatever the case may be. And it could be split like that. So you still saving money for paying somebody, even though front of the house workers don't get paid a lot of hourly, I guarantee money. Some jobs they do pay the minimum wage, but a lot of times I think it's like 217 or 317, which is still crazy, by the way. But I digress. So we, I understand the argument, but those are kind of like, oh, well, here are some facts about that. Like, this is what goes on in front of the house. Now, let's take it to front of the house. I never worked personally in front of the house, but I've been involved in a lot of front of the house, especially being in management and overseeing, a restaurant as like the closing chef or the opening chef. So knowing how front of the house should operate and does operate is very, very helpful. And one of the things that front of the house people, I don't want to say envy about back of the house, but they really, really wish they had, was the ability to eat food for free. That's the one thing that I know for a fact. Front of the house would die for when it comes to working in a restaurant. Back in the house, you at work, you chilling, you making food, you trying new things, you tasting. You might, oh, nobody wants that, and then you can have more taste. It might be leftover food from like an order or something that got sent back that nobody wants. Or, we did a plate up trying this special. Hey, everybody can eat the rest of it. Family meals, things like that. Like, there's a lot of opportunities to eat in the kitchen when you're back at the house. Front of the house, most of the time, if you're not, if the kitchen is not flexible in that manner, you're most of the time half off, whatever the case, you still come out of pocket to pay for food, which sucks. In a restaurant where you work there, I get it. But business is business. You got to make money. But unless you're not at a kitchen that, has some flexibility with that, or if you're not tapped in with certain cooks who can like, hey, I can throw you a burger on the slot. The burger ain't that crazy. It's like a chicken sandwich, some chicken tenders. You're going to be paying for food and you're going to be hungry. So it's not fun. I get it. I understand it.